My husband took me to this remote spot for this, and it was lovely, and we were limited to time. On a subject like this, the shadows and everything move very fast too. So this is what I want to work on today. So I thought it'd be good if I could film some of this for you, just to step you through some of the process. So you can see I've already got a fair bit established here. I mean, you can look at it and know what it is already, but I have to, when I'm working on this now, I have to remember what attracted me to it. The other thing is too, because I've spent the time on site, I can remember, and I know that certain things about this will be different to the photos that I took. So I've taken photos, and over here on my iPad I've got various photos, and with a camera changes a lot. So with a camera, hang on, let me focus for you, it flattens out a lot. It creates sometimes more contrast than what was really there. The shadows flatten up and flatten out a lot, and this looks very pale in the photo, and the sky goes very pale. But can I tell you that tonally was correct? Those values were correct. But if you look at that compared to the photo, that's darker. So the going thing to do with mountains is to lighten them up and grey them off and put them in the background. But the reality is this is far more realistic to have it like that than to do that to it. Now I might soften in some places, because I remember that some areas were softer, like in here was softer than other areas that were kind of in the same section of mountains. So I'll probably do that. And where the edge of the painting is, sometimes it's good to soften off the edges, so that you don't have anything really sharp and drawing the eye at the edges of the painting. I may increase the size of this. I'm not sure if I'll extend past into the paper a bit more or not, until I'm working. But what I do remember about this is you can see in the photo the colour here, but I remember on the day that really stood out, that really did stand out. So what I need to try and do here is bring up this area in hue to make it stand out, because that's what attracted to it. Was like this little glistening village down there, and there was a real glistening up here. You can see I've put that green in to mark it, but that really did pop. And in the photograph, can't even really see it, like that's in there, but on the day it really did stand out, and the photos really don't show it. If anything, that looks bright, but it doesn't show it. And I know, because I was there, that that's what it was. So that's what I'm going to do with this. I want to not overwork it. I want it to be painterly, but at the same time I want it to be a bit more descriptive than what it is. So let's get into it. Now usually the first thing I do is when I've been working on a painting like this, I usually have the pastel set aside. But I've recently just sorted all my pastels out, cleaned them and put them into trays and that. So I don't have these pastels out. So I have to now go hunting for some of them. And so I'll get this little tray, and I will go and pick out my pastels that I want to start using, and I'll keep it in this tray. I don't take them and put them back in my main studio box. I keep them here and not try and limit them, but to not get too many of them. So that's what I'll do now. So I managed to pull them out pretty quickly, actually. So these were mostly what I was using. I've matched them up pretty close, actually. So I will start with that. And what have I got? 5, 10, 12 of them. And I will add to them as I need, but they'll be my base. I find when you revisit a plein air painting back in the studio, it's a good idea to continue as soon as you can, while all the visuals are clear in your mind and you're still aware of what was going on at the time you were painting outside. So that's what I try and do. And I also move around the subject a bit before I make any major changes. So I become re-familiar with it before I move on to making changes and seeing the painting as a whole and as a new creation in the studio. Now this gorgeous blue, you see this pure, like a cobalt ultramarine cross blue, looks unreal probably to some people that are overseas, but in Australia that is definitely in the distance. That is very representative of what we see in our distant mountains. And my understanding is because of lots of the eucalyptus trees, they kind of let off some kind of I don't know if it's gas, or they let something off into the air and it creates this blue in the distance. And so I'm bringing this in because it's very much what we see, and it will bring these mountains to life. But at the same time I need some grey blues in there as well, some deeper grey blues, but this is an important colour right now for here. And I'm sorry, I cannot tell you what that colour is because all of my pastels have all the paper removed. I don't document them. I use what I've got in my boxes, and I don't get bogged down with those colours. I cite them. I look at my colours and for, the right tone or the right chroma, or if it's warm or cool, and I go from there and I just work with what I've got. So I cannot tell you what that particular blue was, but it's a beautiful rich blue in there, and it gives it that impression. Okay, I've picked up a new stick, and it's a purple. It's like a deeper purple, and I've started to bring that into here too. And I'm seeing that warmth in the shadows. There's more red in the shadows here as I'm coming forward against the green, and it will offset the green too. So as I add it here, when I bring the greens in, which will be later, they'll really complement, and the golden colours of autumn, because it's an autumn. This is autumn. The photo was taken at autumn, and the painting was done in autumn, at the end of autumn actually. But the purple is what's needed here in amongst it. I just have to watch that I don't that I put it on cleanly, that I don't blend, rub it in too much to the green and muddy up the green too much. I want to dull it back a bit, and the purple can just dull back the areas that are not so bright. Just like by doing that, those few strokes just take it back a little bit, and I'm only just touching gently, and it can recede back, but even though it's warm, but it's because it's the complementary colour to yellow really, but green's got the yellow in it. This is a warm green in there. So I can back off that brightness with the purple too. So because I want to be very deliberate. There's a lot of pieces that would be lovely, all nice and bright and green, but I want certain parts of this to be lit up and not others. I started to put this purple in here, but this is the foreground shadow that's closest to me now. I can see a lot in here in real life, but I don't want the viewer going into that area. I want them in here, and also they right at the foreground here were some beautiful dried thistles and weeds that were a lovely contrast against this. And so I did take some photos because I was really drawn to that too, and I want to use them to point into the painting, and they were just so beautiful. I'm hoping that I can capture those in a way that they don't draw all the attention to themselves, but point into here where the light's going to hit, and just add that beautiful complementary subject right in the foreground here, sort of poking up into the scene. So because on a certain angle you could see that, and they were just really, I really loved them. So I'm going to have a go at doing that here in the foreground, but not now. I've got to work all this first, and I've got to watch I don't build up this too much too, because I want to do that, and it might take a bit of detail to do that. So I want to keep this pretty close to the paper and not build up too much. So again, you see these things when you're on site. When you scope an area or scope a scene, you look at different angles and the different things about it that are attractive. And those thistles, when I was there, when I was taking photos, or when I was like standing up, sitting down at different heights, you could see different aspects, and the thistles were really nice silhouetted against that background. So I don't want to cover up that bright area, but to have those in there, I'm grabbing a little bit of the scene, maybe a bit greedy, but if I play them down and don't have them stand out too much, they'll be enough. I'll give you a better look now, because I'm starting to go in with the greens. So here up here, we've got that aqua colour that I was pushing in at the start, going over. And when I started doing this, I was kind of rediscovering the mountain as I was moving around there. And then I added the blue in there, and there was a deeper, like a phthalo blue, added in amongst it. And with the purple, you can see that starting to happen here again. And then I've just started adding this lighter green in places where it's cooler. It's still a pretty warm green, but there's warmer, there's warmer green that I'm going to be using. So I love colour, so I still want this to be a colourful painting. I don't want it to be too dull. I want the vibrancy and the beautiful colour of pastels to really show through in this. So you can see in here, I love all this interplay of colour. And I've started to weave these in and started to describe the little town that was in there, and that there's little towers there, and started to just describe not even the elements, but the main impression of the group of elements. But that was obviously that will be a landmark that somebody would recognise, so I've popped that in there. Not a pretty landmark, but one no less. And so that's how now I'll start moving in here, describing this, but that needs to be not over described. It doesn't need a lot of description, but they've got the little roads weaving in there. And work this, all these pine, this is like a pine plantation, I'm pretty sure, yep. And so I need some verticals there just to describe that. And then I'll move forward and into here. I'll give you some real-time painting as well. Now I'm into here, I'll slow up a bit and show you exactly how fast I am working. And I'm stepping back and forward, lots of exercise while I do this. And this is a nice part of the painting, nice, like I can really play with the design in there. Trees don't look too healthy here in the photo, but I'll give them some green. Okay. It's all pine in here too, which is warmer, but I'll come in with that in a minute. But I don't want to make it too warm because it's on the side there. I want most of the warmth to be in here. And then I probably need to go some really hard darks in here. That's it. Now I need a dividing line because there's a group of trees here that are actually a different colour. I'm not sure if that's going to be too bright for those though. I think I might be able to get away with some of that. Just needs that to be green and that to be like more yellow autumn trees in amongst there. Because down in the town they've got different trees, more colour. This is all just, you know, plantations, so now in here is some reds too, but I'm going to pick up on the paper red, that colour, rather than, it's a very cadmium red in the photo, but I'm going to pick up that. Let's see if I can find, this might be a bit light, I'll just try it. No, I like it. I like it. Just put a little bit on your board and then you step back and have a look, where else does it need to go, and you start to work very intuitively. I'm seeing it back here, which was one of the areas I wanted some interest, because it really did pop on the day. That's why I've left that green in there, but that's lovely. In fact, I want to tie it into the actual painting, the colour, where I can get away with it, because it really looks beautiful coming through. You get this layering up effect, very impressionistic effect that just looks beautiful with pastel. I hope you can hear me as I'm bouncing back and forth. I haven't got my mic on. I had a lot of interruptions to the studio and I was like, I just want to get in there. And I finally got in there and I didn't think about the mic. Yes, that's working, and I like it here just to break up that. Nice. A little bit in here as you're coming forward. Probably get away with it there. I think I'll probably use that colour for my signature at the end. Nice, I love it. I love that colour. What did I go overboard? But this really does start to really describe the township, which I'll show you now, I think. So you see all this work in here. Now I'm going to flip across to the photo quickly. You see it there? Whoops. See the reds in there? And then you come across here and you just play it up. So that's the painting impression of it. So we'll go back to the time lapse as I work more of the painting in this session. Now in this part of the painting I work the lights up into some areas, so you'll see me adding them in places and creating a bit more form on the mountains and on the side, foreground mountain, and then the thistle goes in. And this process I slow right down too, because you're bringing the painting to a conclusion and you really need to be just as considered at the end. Okay, it's time to stop this session. I'm tired. And I do need to come back with a really fresh eye to choose what's staying, what's going. I started to soften off some areas with a greyed, warm grey colour, which I'll need to continue for bits and pieces. And so now it's a matter of making the brights, you know, knocking back what's too bright, bringing out what needs a little bit of oomph. And I've started to work on the weeds here. That needs a lot more work here. Needs work here to get rid of that line. But you can see that it's starting to take shape, or I hope you can see it's starting to take shape. If we go right back, it's definitely the township and the mountains that I saw. There's the image there. That's it there. And so now when I've got fresh eyes, I'll be able to judge the finishing touches. Now I'm not sure what happened to my audio there. Sorry about that. But I'm happy with this session. I think it come a long way in the time we spent on this. And it's getting close. So I'm going to leave it at there, and I will have a big break from it and come back and possibly do a little bit more to it to finish it off. But I hope you enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe and share the video. That would be awesome for my channel. And I hope to see you next time.